Good morning and welcome. This is another cut from the AutoHub show. Today I'm doing the Fixed Op show, and I actually had the opportunity to interview Katie Maris over the weekend. I haven't yet edited the video, but it's actually been a pretty good. It's a pretty good video, pin to pin. I should have it edited hopefully later this week. Here's a quick clip for everybody. Here we go.
When you have more women, you have more efficiency, you have more retention. There was this stat, and it's insane, but 20% of employees will stay based off of the fact that their leader is a woman because they're more communicative, they're more compassionate, they create more collaboration, they just create a better work environment. When I said more women bring more women, this stat everybody needs to know. And if they're listening, they need to, and if they're driving, they better come back and listen to the show notes and write this one down. 67% of females who accept jobs accept them because they see other women in the business. 67%. Now, our new up-and-coming ladies, the new up-and-coming generation, the Gen X's, the Gen Z's, that number goes from 67 to 76%. These women are going to, 76% of these women are accepting positions because they see people like them within the space. So if we aren't getting our act together, we're just going to lose talent. We're going to lose money because more women bring more money, more internally and externally. And when you go back to retention, that 20% stays because of the female leader and female employees. It might cost 3 to 4, I don't know the exact current stat, but it's 3 to 4 months of average pay every time you lose somebody. So we don't often take a look at how hard that hits our bottom line. When you don't have a culture people want to work in, they leave, and you just end up being on that hamster wheel, and you're losing so much time, money, and effort, and consistency with the customer. So what's going to break the camel's back for the consumer is that we're in the competition era. It is like we're in the experience competition era. So they're just going to leave because you can throw a stone and the next dealership down the road, even if it's a different OEM, a different manufacturer, they have something very similar at the same price, and they're going to provide a better experience, and that's where your customers are going to go. And if you don't start retaining your internal customers, if you don't start hiring more women, the women that influence 85% of all car purchases when in a couples relationship, she's going to go somewhere else where she sees herself in, where she feels more comfortable. So, I mean, it's smart business.
So that's a quick clip from the interview I did over the weekend. I should have it edited and hopefully up later this week. Special thanks to Katie Maris for obviously that interview. And I'm going to get into the show. So here we go.
Miller. I'm the general manager at Fred Bean's Kia in Langhorne. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman, Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now. And anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry has been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry. And he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer. And that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out a textbook, but Larry has real world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships that we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there. And I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing dealers succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
All right. Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, you don't want to be bothered? Fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota. I've trained Nissan. I've been to driving sales. I've been to Women in Auto. I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities all over the country. And I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
Good morning and welcome. I'm going to switch it up a little bit today. I'm unfortunately not feeling the greatest because I got the flu over the weekend, I believe. But also, it looks like most of our guests, if not all the guests, couldn't make it today for different reasons. So this is actually the first show I've ever done by myself. So it should be pretty interesting. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch the show on fixed ops. I've had the opportunity, just in case you don't know, to train in fixed ops when I work for Dealer Effects. I've been to conferences all over North America in various areas, and I'm not an expert on fixed ops, but I do have some special thoughts on it. So I guess the big thing to start with is the fact that the industry obviously is always changing, but fixed ops seems to be the one department where there isn't as much focus as there used to be or needs to be. So when I talked to Katie Maris on the weekend, what I got was a lot of thoughts about experience, but more importantly, we talked a lot about staffing. So stay tuned for the full interview as I edit that. Because we've done shows over the years on staffing, specifically on staffing and general retention, but also on females and staffing. And we were talking a little bit about how you could retain and obviously attract female staff members and what that means for a dealership. But we also talked a little bit about experience. Now, when I was working with Dealer Effects, we talked a lot about experience, but more specifically the experience from different members of the public, especially on the female side of the house. So as I prepared the questions for the show today, what makes it so special on the fixed ops side? Well, I think the fixed ops side is overlooked, and the reason being it's not as interesting from a dealer perspective as maybe the variable ops side. It's not as sexy. It's not as an area that people are as interested as much as they should be or could be. And that's part of the reason why I don't think it gets as much attention as it deserves. But from a point of view of my experience on the fixed ops side, the stat that always used to shock me was just, the percentage of clients that maybe bought a vehicle at a dealership that didn't return. And one of the examples of a dealership that I work with when I was with Dealer Effects that had a lot of retention of staffing was Beaverton Toyota. And it's where Nike is in Oregon. And what shocked me was not only the volume of ROs that they dealt with on a daily basis, but how a lot of customers who bought their cars new from them many years ago were still servicing at the same dealer. And the really difference for me was that experience, the focus on customer experience, the fact that they had a wonderful lounge, they had a restaurant. But more importantly, even at volume, they were really taking care of every single customer. Now, I had the opportunity to work with the Toyota store with, I think it was about 60 bays, a huge location for a Toyota location. But that also translated to the sales and service side of the house. So what I really, really stood out for me was the fact that sales and service were not only interacting, that experience was similar on both sides of the house. When we were launching a tablet-based solution to even enhance that experience, all it did was move the ball further. Now, when you're looking at fixed ops, I think one of the biggest things that is missed is you look at that total number of cars sold and the cars retained. So when I'm looking at service, the other thing that really stood out for me over the years was I had the opportunity to train at a General Motors store in the Greater Toronto area. And we had a gentleman come in who was speaking about tires and tire sales. And what happened there was, he was really training the staff on how to sell more tires. And I remember asking him, because he actually also owned a number of service departments that were aftermarket service departments, what his high watermark was in terms of retaining customers. And he was hoping to get to that 70 to 80% retention of customers or higher in his service departments. But basically what we heard from the manufacturer at that time, which happened to be General Motors, was their target was around 40%. So I asked him what made that difference between that 40% number and say his number at 70%. And he says, you need to sell everyone tires. And I thought that was a really interesting point of view, because I think in a lot of cases, dealers sort of overlook tires as not a big profit center for the dealership. I had the opportunity to work with a dealership in Los Angeles who didn't even stock tires, which was kind of shocking. But when you look at the fixed ops side of the house, not only is it a focus on helping that customer and really connecting them with what's going on with their vehicle and how to prevent future maintenance by explaining to them, it's also in building trust and making sure they have clarity on what's going on with their vehicle, but more importantly, how they can fix things ahead of time so that way they're not dealing with catastrophic failure later. I mean, one of the other examples I had years ago when I was with a dealership, and it was a kind of an old school example, was they had a cabinet in the service department where it had examples of parts that were worn out, so they could go over it with a customer when they were explaining it, because sometimes the customer didn't connect the bill or the repair on that car to what was actually wrong with the car. And I know we've had some discussions on past shows about using video to do that. And when I was with Dealer Effects, that was a great way to have a technician shoot a video and saying, hey, this is what's going on with your car. But since, it's really just me today and I'm not getting a lot of questions from the live audience, what I also wanted to talk about was, the use of video and how video can really help not only on sales and service, but also with customers, connecting them with the sales people or the service staff and really closing that loop so that they can get help when they need it. Now, one of the sponsors of the show is VidCalls, and they have the ability to do a two-way real-time video. But there are solutions from CDK and others that are after the fact where they can communicate with that customer and give them a clarity on the fixed op side of what's going wrong with the vehicle. Shoot a video of what's going on underneath the vehicle or inside the vehicle, so they can explain and really have an understanding of what that cost benefit is versus the problem. And I think that's a real game changer for service departments, where really the service side of the house has been kind of behind that door, where the customer really doesn't walk in to see what's going on in the service bays. Insensitives to time, there's not a lot for me to talk about here by myself, but I look forward to the next Fixed Ops event coming up soon, and I'll hopefully have more people that don't are too busy to be on the show next time. But thanks for watching today. And if you have any questions or want to be on the next show, feel free to reach out. I do also do a recorded show. Happy to do that as well. Have yourself a great day, and thanks for watching.